Welcome to the beautiful island of Ireland, the Emerald Isle, a land of richly varied scenery and history. Perched at the northwestern tip of Europe, Ireland's long coastline offers a glorious mix of white sandy beaches, brooding mountains, and dramatic seascapes which are unrivaled throughout the world. Amongst a patchwork of rich green pastures and golden fields, Ireland's long and sometimes turbulent history is never far from view and will delight the visitor to these hallowed shores. Once known as the Island of Saints and Scholars, Ireland abounds with historic monastic sites dating from the early Christian period and replacing an even earlier pagan culture, older than that of the Egyptians. The unique Celtic architecture, with its high crosses and round towers, has survived the many invaders who have come to these shores. From the Vikings who settled the east coast, to the medieval Anglo-Normans who built many of Ireland's great castles and fortresses, and the later English armies, all have left their indelible imprint on this most beautiful and historic island. We hope you enjoy this trip with us. Situated in the heart of Dublin, Ireland's largest city and the nation's capital, stands the imposing site of Dublin Castle. Dating from the 13th century, John, son of Henry II of England, ordered the castle to be built in 1204 at the expense of the citizens of Dublin. Henceforth, it was the centre of government and the seat of the treasury. Today, the castle is the setting for many important state occasions. Enclosing the castle yard are the impressive state apartments, exquisitely furnished and a must on any visitor's itinerary. Guided tours are given daily. Just north of O'Connell Bridge lies the broad thoroughfare of O'Connell Street. The GPO, seen here, was the scene of the 1916 Easter Rising, one of the bloodiest moments in Ireland's long history. Stretching across the famous River Liffey, the Halfpenny Bridge is possibly Dublin's best-known landmark. It leads the intrepid pedestrian southwards into the quaint cobbled streets of Temple Bar, the city's most fashionable area and positively bristling with trendy bistros and boutiques. In striking contrast, the imposing presence of the Four Courts, Ireland's High Courts, dates from 1786. The bustling market stalls of Moore Street reveal the real jewels in Dublin's crown, the charm and wit of its citizens. St. Stephen's Green is home to one of Dublin's finest old hotels, the Shelburne. While Grafton Street is the city's premier shopping street, and a summer's afternoon brings Dubliners here in their droves to chat, shop, or just enjoy a stroll in the sunshine. This impressive arch marks the entrance to St. Stephen's Green, an oasis of calm in the busy city centre. The resident population of ducks never goes hungry here. Trinity College is Ireland's oldest university and houses the famous 8th century Book of Kells. Many of Ireland's most famous sons were educated here. Just across College Green stands the magnificent facade of the Bank of Ireland, once seat of the Irish Parliament. Leinster House is home to the current Parliament, or Dáil as it is known in Gaelic. Government buildings on Merrion Street are open to the public and embrace the National Gallery, housing a superb collection of art from around the world. The Grand Canal flows gracefully through Dublin's south side and provided much inspiration for the poet Patrick Kavanagh, now immortalised on its banks. Designed by James Gandon, the Custom House still graces the city's busy financial district. Destroyed in the Civil War, it has since been restored to its former glory. The Phoenix Park, overlooking the River Liffey, is possibly Dublin's finest recreational amenity. Comprising nearly 2,000 acres, its network of quiet walks and green fields make it a favourite venue for locals and visitors alike. This pretty thatched house lies near the coastal village of Malahide, renowned for its magnificent 14th century castle. Visitors to the castle will enjoy one of the finest collections of period furniture and portrait paintings in the country. The scenic town of Howth marks the most northerly tip of Dublin Bay and is home to a thriving fishing industry. Howth Harbour was the scene of the dramatic landing of arms from the ship the Asgard in 1914. Our next stop is County Meath, the Royal County. In the Boyne Valley, there is an extraordinary concentration of over 40 prehistoric passage tombs. The most famous of these is Newgrange, built around 3200 BC. Spirals, chevrons, circles and triangles continue to mystify the archaeologists. On the morning of the winter solstice, December 21st, the sun's rays penetrate into the depths of the chambers, powerfully signifying the life of light after the darkness of winter. The astonishing retaining walls are made of white quartz. Situated close to the town of Navan is the hill of Tara, seat of the ancient kings of Ireland. Little remains of this once powerful kingdom, but some low mounds. Unthreatening today, a visit to Dún na nGall, or Mound of the Hostages, must, however, have been an unsavoury prospect for the ancient Celts. A short distance from Newgrange, the burial site at Knowth is still under excavation. The complex consists of the central tumulus, burial place of the kings, and some smaller mounds containing less important tombs. Much is still unknown about the lifestyle of the early Celts, and it is hoped that the works at Knowth may uncover an important link to the past. The River Boyne opened a chapter of our history in 1690, when King William of Orange triumphed over his father-in-law, King James, in the Battle of the Boyne. This is the prosperous town of Navan, where the Boyne and the Blackwater rivers meet. This unusual tower on the hill of Lloyd overlooks Kells town, where this old cross stands in the main street, where it was re-erected in 1688 by the Sovereign of Kells. Majestically overlooking the River Boyne, Trim Castle is the largest Anglo-Norman fortress in Ireland. Originally constructed by Hugh de Lacy, its 70-feet-high turrets have stood guard over the town for nearly 8 centuries, slightly longer than the graceful town hall. In County Westmeath, on the River Shannon, lies the garrison town of Athlone, dominated by the twin spires of the Church of St. Peter and Paul. A thriving commercial centre, Athlone was the birthplace of the celebrated tenor John Count MacCormack, who is commemorated throughout the town. Athlone Castle was built by the Anglo-Normans to guard the river crossing. The Shannon is the longest river in Ireland and a great place for a boating holiday. Situated among the many lakes that dot County Westmeath is the county town of Mullingar, with a population of 8,000. Its many fine buildings include the old market house in Market Square and the inspiring cathedral in the Renaissance style. Over the door, the carved stonework is by Albert Power. The twin towers are surmounted by gilt bronze crosses. Near Castle Pollard, and close by the tranquil shores of Loch Lane, in wonderful surroundings, is Fore Abbey, a Benedictine priory dating from the 13th century. It was named after Saints Tauren and Fechin. It has a unique architectural style and features a well-preserved cloister arcade. There were 4 gates surrounding the abbey. This is the East Gate. Tradition tells us that the abbey has 7 wonders, such as the well where water won't boil, the stream which flows uphill from Loch Lene, and the tree that won't burn. Kilbeggan has this old distillery and water wheel. County Cavan has thousands of lakes. This one is Loch Sheelin, one of the best fishing lakes in Ireland. The town of Virginia, on the main Dublin to Cavan road, is beautifully situated on the shores of Loch Raymore. Surrounded by woodlands and dotted with tiny islets, it is the perfect setting for all kinds of water sports. Ballyjamesduff, made famous by Percy French, is situated on a crossroads and is a busy market town. A focal point for the local farming community, its streets echo to the constant sound of agricultural vehicles. Cavan Town, or in Irish Cavan, meaning the hollow place, is a major commercial town. Its many places of interest include the 15th century town hall, the old Franciscan friary, the Life Force Mill, the Protestant church, and the town's cathedral, St. Patrick's. Continuing our journey northwards, we pass through the picturesque little village of Butler's Bridge on the banks of the Annalee River. This ancient sculptured Celtic cross stands in the centre of Clones in County Monaghan. The champion boxer Barry McGuigan was born in Clones. This round tower stands on the site of St. Tiernuck's Monastery. As with much of Ireland, history coexists peacefully with everyday life. St. Macardon's Cathedral dominates Monaghan town and was built in the 19th century, while at the Diamond in the town centre, the unusual sight of the Rossmore Monument greets us. Other notable landmarks include St. Patrick's Church, the town courthouse, the Dawson Memorial, and the town pond. Just 11 kilometres northeast from Monaghan town lies the beautifully preserved Glasslough House. Surrounded by mature woodlands, its spectacular grounds roll down to the shores of Glasslough Lake. Just outside Castleblaney stands the stately Hope Castle, overlooking Mucknoe Lake. In the southern part of the county, we come across the attractive town of Carrickmacross, with its wide streets, quaint stone cottages, and a fine church. Close by the border with County Louth, you will find the tiny village of Inishkeen, birthplace of the famous Irish poet Patrick Kavanagh, who lies buried here today. Although he died in 1967, generations of Irish children fondly remember such poems as Stony Grey Soil from their school curriculum. And Kavanagh's old school of Caithnammincha can still be seen today. The less scholarly visitor may enjoy a pleasant stroll along the river bank. The smallest county in Ireland is Louth. This is the historic town of Drogheda with its Gothic-style church St. Peter's. The perfectly preserved St. Lawrence's Gate originally formed part of the town walls. Cromwell attacked the town in 1649 and butchered 2,000 of its inhabitants for the greater glory of God. Drogheda is home to many fine religious buildings, among them St. Peter's Church of Ireland and the 13th century arches in Abbey Lane. Mellifont Abbey is one of Ireland's most important ecclesiastical sites. It was the first Cistercian house in Ireland and was established by St. Malachy O'Moore in 1142. A little further exploration will uncover the delightful settlement of Monaster Boyce. The soaring round tower was once the highest in Ireland, and the superbly sculptured Murdoch's Cross is an outstanding example of an early Christian high cross. Also richly ornamented is the West Cross, standing over 21 feet high. Bidding farewell to Monaster Boyce, our journey takes us onward to Dundalk, the county town and largest centre in Louth, and home to the largest windmill in Ireland. Looking across at the mountains of Mourne is Carlingford village on the shores of Carlingford Lough. The border town of Newry in County Down in Northern Ireland is a busy shopping town, crisscrossed with a network of canals. The dramatic scenery of the Mourne Mountains surrounds Newcastle, a seaside resort. This is the famous Royal County Down golf course. The non-golfer will enjoy this peaceful promenade. Just along the coast, the pretty little harbour at Ardglass provides safe anchorage to many pleasure craft and is home to a vibrant fishing industry. Set among the tall trees, Jordan's Castle consists of a square tower of 4 stories and is believed to have been a merchant's fortified residence and store. It was defended by Simon Jordan against Hugh O'Neill in 1598. The market town of Downpatrick is synonymous with Ireland's patron saint, St. Patrick. The local Church of Ireland Cathedral bears his name, and he is reputed to have been buried here in the year 461. Travelling through Hillsborough in the heart of County Down, we encounter this superb Celtic cross. The nearby church with its Gothic spire dates back to 1774. Situated on the eastern shore of Strangford Lough, the Mount Stuart estate was the birthplace in 1769 of Lord Castlereagh, who secured the passage of the Act of Union in 1800. The estate boasts 98 acres of fabulous gardens, with plants and shrubs from around the world, providing a riot of colour during the summer. Visitors will be fascinated by the eccentric Dodo Terrace and the Greek-inspired Temple of the Winds. Continuing along the shores of Belfast Lough, we pass through the town of Bangor with its busy marina. Arriving at Belfast, the capital city of Northern Ireland. The Renaissance-style City Hall, a fine building of Portland stone, graces Donegal Square in the centre of the city, and many points of interest are within a short walk from here, including the Linen Hall Library, the imposing College of Technology, and the world-famous Opera House, where after a performance, a visit to the Crown Liquor Saloon is de rigueur. The Lagan riverbanks are dominated by the huge cranes of Harland and Wolff, where the ill-fated Titanic was built in 1912, a stark contrast to the scholarly environs of Queen's University and the stately Parliament building at Stormont. A short distance northeastwards, we come across the thick buttresses of Carrickfergus Castle, standing guard defiantly over the waters of Belfast Lough. A Norman construction, its walls contain many reminders of its turbulent past. Continuing our journey along the scenic Antrim coast, we arrive at the pretty little village of Carnlough, built among white stone quarries. Its sheltered harbour is a popular port of call for mariners who relish the local hospitality. The stunning beauty of the 9 glens of Antrim is unsurpassed, and Glen Ariff, or Ploughman's Glen, is possibly the most beautiful of all. Here, the little Glen Ariff River rushes through the thickly wooded valley, tumbling over waterfalls on its journey to the sea. A visit here is indeed a glorious experience. The town of Ballycastle lies at the northeastern tip of Ireland, and its white sandy beaches make it a popular seaside resort in summer. Ballycastle Harbour is the departure point for Rathlin Island, a popular side trip for those exploring this part of the rugged Antrim coast. And on a clear day, you can see the shores of bonny Scotland across the water. White Park Bay is home to the smallest church in Ireland, seating just 16 people, while just along the coast, the ruins of Dunservig Castle, built by the Anglo-Norman de Mandeville family, stands on the site of Southwark's Fortress, one of the 3 great buildings of ancient Ireland. A more modern construction is the Carrick-a-Reed Rope Bridge, a perfectly safe, if somewhat unnerving experience. Undoubtedly, the jewel in Antrim's crown is the outstanding Giant's Causeway, a fascinating basalt rock formation jutting into the sea at Benbane Head. Legend has it that it was built by the mythological giant Finn McCool to bring a lady giant across from Scotland, hence the name, Giant's Causeway. Clinging to the cliff tops near Portrush, the Jacobean Dunluce Castle was once seat to the Earls of Ulster, and is arguably the most romantic setting of any Irish castle. We end our tour of County Antrim with a visit to Portrush, a seaside haven with excellent sandy beaches. The ancient city of Armagh, seat of the Ulster kings in olden times, has been Ireland's ecclesiastical capital for 1500 years. The Catholic cathedral, dating from 1840, stands imposingly on a hilltop site and is home to Ireland's Cardinal Archbishop. Be sure not to miss the impressive mosaic which completely covers the cathedral's inside walls. The older Church of Ireland Cathedral, St. Patrick's, reputedly occupies the site of a church founded by the saint in 445 AD. The cathedral houses many interesting artifacts, including an original copy of Swift's Gulliver's Travels and some unusual pre-Christian stone figures. Armagh, or Ard Macha in Gaelic, takes its name from the warrior Queen Macha, and St. Patrick established a monastic school here in the 5th century. In the pleasant green grounds of the observatory, you will find this unusual planetarium, open to the public. To the west of the city lies the important archaeological site of Owen Macha, or Navan Fort, ancient seats of the kings of Ulster. Visitors to the highly acclaimed Navan Centre will acquire a unique insight into the history and heritage of this site throughout the ages. A network of settlement sites, earthworks and burial places, Navan Fort dates from 300 BC and the vast 16-acre mound marks the site of Queen Maka's palace. Indeed, some scholars suggest that she may even be buried here. Owen Maka is inextricably entwined with some of the most celebrated names in Irish folklore. Deirdre of the Sorrows, the Red Branch Knights, and the legendary warrior Cuchulainn have all been linked with the site down through the ages, and the visitor to Navan Fort cannot but be enchanted by its mystical charm. Delightfully located between Upper and Lower Lough Erne, Fermanagh's county town of Enniskillen boasts many interesting architectural features, including the French Gothic style of St. Michael's Church and the medieval splendour of Enniskillen Castle, which houses both the county and regimental museums behind its fairy tale turrets. In Fort Hill Park, you will find the striking Cole Monument, built in 1857 to commemorate Sir Galbraith Lowry Cole of Wellington's army. If you feel like a climb to the top, there are just 108 steps to conquer. The Erne Waterway provides an idyllic retreat for birds, wildflowers and fishermen, and is dotted with many small wooded islands. On one such island, Boa Island, you will encounter the eerie sight of two Janus stone figures, a source of great mystery to historians and scholars. Some visitors claim to have experienced a strange tingling sensation from touching the figures. Reached by ferry from Castle Archdale, White Island contains the ruins of a small church dating from the 12th century, its fine Romanesque doorway still intact. Within its walls lie a number of highly unusual stone statues from a much earlier period. The figures display both pagan and early Christian features, which has led to much disagreement among archaeologists as to their origins. The marina at Carriage Bridge is the starting point for a pleasurable cruising holiday. As we bid farewell to the lakelands of Fermanagh, we arrive in the neighbouring county of Tyrone and the town of Omagh. The twin spires of the Church of the Sacred Heart soar majestically over the town, providing a focal point for its citizens. Surprisingly, Omagh has quite a strong literary and show business connection. Both the playwright Brian Friel, author of Philadelphia, Here I Come, and the songwriter Jimmy Kennedy are natives of the town. Here, the gallant conduct of the Royal Enniskillen Fusiliers in the Boer War are commemorated. Close to Cookstown, in the east of the county, we find the ancient site of Tullahoge Fort, home of the O'Hagan clan. The O'Hagans acted as justiciars of the kingdom of Tyrowen, and it was at Tullahoge that the inauguration ceremonies for the O'Neill chieftains were performed. It is said that the crownings took place amid the clang of bucklers and 100 harps. Lough Neagh, situated in the heart of Ulster and covering almost 400 square kilometres, is the largest lake in the British Isles. On its western shore at Ardbow lies the site of the 6th century monastery of St. Colman of Dromore, and within the adjoining graveyard stands the magnificent Cross of Ardbow, perhaps the finest of the ancient high crosses of Ulster. Standing 18.5 feet high, the cross has 22 sculptured panels featuring various scenes from the scriptures. Close to the town of Newton Stewart, the imposing remains of Harry Avery's castle, a 14th century Gaelic stronghold, come into view. Rising steeply above the River Foyle, the city of Derry is an ancient and historic place, spanned by the modern Craigavon Bridge. Standing outside the original city, near Shipquay Gate, the impressive Guildhall houses the mayoral chain and Medal of Office, presented to the city by King William III. The 17th century Protestant Cathedral of St. Columb stands in the shadow of the famous old city walls, still festooned with many of the old cannons, such as the fearsome Roaring Meg, dating from 1642. The walls today are laid out as a promenade. And here we see the Walker Monument. The Apprentice Boys' Hall is the organization's world headquarters. while within the walls lies the First Derry Presbyterian Church. Wherever you may go in Derry, there are stark reminders of its turbulent past. The defining moment in its long history was the famous siege of 1689, when the invading Catholic Jacobite army attacked and besieged the city, trapping the garrison and the predominantly Protestant inhabitants behind the city walls, and preventing the arrival of provision ships. For 105 long days, the city's inhabitants held out against the invading Jacobite army, many of them perishing from starvation and disease, until relieved by an English convoy. High on a cliff top close to the resort of Downhill, a strange sight greets the traveller. Built in 1783 by Bishop Harvey to house a library, the Mussenden Temple, with its domed circular style, emulates that of the temples of Vesta at Tivoli and Rome. Bishop Harvey, who also held the title Earl of Bristol, was a great traveller and resided in palatial splendour here at Downhill. The castle ruins and monuments are a popular attraction for holidaymakers based in Downhill. Looking across Trarbogher Bay, we travel to the Inishowen Peninsula in County Donegal, and Carndonagh, its main town, with the famous Carndonagh Cross. Malin Head is Ireland's most northerly point, complete with its own windswept lookout tower. Operated by Lloyd's of London, the tower's lookouts would keep watch for expected shipping and inform London of their approach. Just across Lough Swilly looms the mountainous terrain of Fanad Head, with some of the most dramatic cliff scenery in Ireland. While out to sea is Tory Island. Glenveigh National Park, set in 25,000 acres in the Derryveigh Mountains, is an area of outstanding natural beauty and stunning scenery. Within the park's boundaries stands Glenveigh Castle, with its colourful gardens. The harbour at Burtonport is home to Ireland's biggest salmon fleet and is a popular centre for boating trips to Arranmore Island, while the area around Burtonport boasts many rocky coves and beaches suitable for safe bathing. The district known as the Rosses covers more than 60,000 acres in the west of the county, offering the visitor a delightful mix of mountains, rivers, lakes and unspoilt beaches. The tiny village of Portnew overlooks Guibara Bay, and Glencolumkill, where the first co-op in Ireland was established by Father MacDyer. Setting out from the secluded inlet of Teelin Bay, an ascent of Slieve League will yield stunning views of the highest cliffs in Europe. Killybegs is one of Ireland's most important fishing ports, with a large fishing fleet. Situated on a natural deep-water harbour, Killybegs is home to boats of all sizes, which trawl the Atlantic waters for a variety of species. We complete our tour of Donegal in Donegal town, a thriving commercial centre on the banks of the River Esk. In times past, Donegal was the seat of the O'Donnells, princes of the Kingdom of Tyrconnell. The neighbouring county of Sligo, in the ancient province of Connacht, is a popular venue for activity holidays, and these guests at the Grange Horse Holiday Farm certainly seem to be enjoying the gallops. Ah, thirsty work indeed. Sligo's best-known landmark is the brooding Ben Bulben. Standing 1,730 feet high, Ben Bulben is home to some rare flora. The little graveyard at Drumcliff is the last resting place of the renowned Irish poet William Butler Yeats. His gravestone is inscribed with one of his most famous lines, "Cast a cold eye on life, on death, horsemen pass by." A short drive north of Sligo, you will encounter the resort area of Ross's Point. A place of peace and tranquility in winter, it plays host to a large influx of summer visitors who enjoy the beautiful surroundings. Ross's Point is a well-known championship golf course and is the home of Sligo Yacht Club. Just offshore lies the scenic Coney Island. The dramatically scenic Lough Gill is home to the Isle of Innisfree, immortalised by Yeats. While the recently restored Parks Castle, a fortified 17th century manor, houses an interpretive centre for the National Monuments of the Northwest and is definitely worth a visit. The town of Sligo enjoys a charming setting at the mouth of the Garavogue River, surrounded by limestone hills. In ancient times, Sligo was a place of great strategic importance, as all coastal traffic forded the Garavogue here. An important commercial centre, Sligo has a thriving tourist industry, attracting many visitors from both Ireland and abroad. Close to Sligo town at Carrowmore are the largest group of megalithic remains in these islands, some of them over 6,000 years old. The remains consist of a magnificent dolmen, stone circles and cairns. Sligo's sister county of Leitrim is renowned for the rugged splendour of its scenery, and surely one of the high points on any visitor's itinerary must be the glorious cascade of Glencar waterfall, tumbling into a beautiful wooded valley. Situated at the southern tip of Loch Allen is the rustic little town of Drumshambo, well known to anglers the world over. Each year the town comes to life with an Irish music, singing and dancing festival known as An Tustal. While on the road into Ballinamore, we pass the interesting remains of St. Callan's Abbey. The recent opening of the Ballinamore to Ballyconnell Canal, derelict for many years, has breathed new life into the region. Now, once again, the boating community have returned to these parts, and the waterways echo to the sounds of a brand new fleet of cabin cruisers and barges. In the town of Mohill, we find this poignant memorial to O'Carolan, the famous blind harpist of yore. And continuing our journey, we arrive at Carrick-on-Shannon, first incorporated as a borough in 1613 by James I. Carrick-on-Shannon is the county town of Leitrim and a major centre for river cruising with a large marina. Many of the major cruiser companies have a base here, and at peak periods the waters can seem even busier than the roads. Not that this bothers everybody. Luckily, harmony exists between boat owners of all sizes. A short stroll into the town centre will reveal a strange curiosity: the Costello Chapel on Main Street. Reputed to be the second smallest chapel in the world, it was erected as a mausoleum for Edward Costello and his wife, who lie here today. The strategically placed town of Roscommon takes its name from St. Comyn, who founded a monastery here in early Christian times. An interesting feature of the town is its quaint little museum, while a unique fact about Roscommon Castle is that it once employed a female hangman in its jail. This sturdy structure was built in 1268, but was eventually destroyed by the Cromwellians in 1652. The Sacred Heart Church is a latter-day successor to the old Roscommon Abbey, founded in 1253 by the then King of Connacht, Phelim O'Connor. Strokestown Park House, built by the Mahon family, has a date stone of 1696, but the central portion is believed to be older. It houses a museum of the Great Famine of the 1840s. While close by at Elphin, this newly finished thatched windmill is a joy to behold. Close by the river at the base of the Curlew Hills, we encounter the extensive ruins of Boyle Abbey. Founded by the Cistercian abbot Maurice O'Duffy in 1161, the abbey was one of the most important religious sites of its time in Ireland, and had a close association with the great Abbey of Mellifont. The abbey was suppressed in 1569. The picturesque Loch Key with its forest park is a popular destination. There are many trails and nature walks. On one of the lake's islands you will find the ruins of the Abbey of the Trinity, founded by the White Canons. Arigna, situated on the west shore of Loch Allen, is one of the few places in Ireland where coal was mined, a fact which brought much prosperity to this tidy little town. Continuing on our travels, we cross into County Longford and the bustling centre of Longford town. The focal point of the town is undoubtedly the Renaissance-style St. Mel's Cathedral. And here we see the monument to the Longford Volunteers of 1916. In the graveyard adjoining the little church in Edgeworthstown, you will find the burial plot of the Edgeworth family, for whom the town takes its name, and the home of John Edgeworth still stands today. Saying farewell to Edgeworthstown, we move on to the market town of Granard. Perched on a hill overlooking the town is this statue of St. Patrick, erected in 1932 to mark the 15th centenary of his arrival in Ireland. The local church has a fine spire visible from the surrounding countryside. Just north of Granard, the rippling waters of Lough Gowna yield some very large trout to the game angler. Hidden away in a wooded area close to Edgeworth's town, we come across the stunningly beautiful prize village of Ardagh, winner of the Tidy Towns Award and the Entente Floral in 1989. The gorgeous village green, complete with antique water pump, is ablaze with the colours of its lovingly tended flower beds, and the old village church occupies the site of the original cathedral. Welcome to the busy streets and smiling faces of Castlebar in the heart of the western county of Mayo. The famous Land League meetings were held in this very hotel. A short yet gloriously scenic drive will bring you to the coastal town of Westport, a major tourist destination and sea angling centre. The colourful shop fronts add a definite charm to the streets. Westport plays host to an annual horse fair, bringing its fair share of characters to the town. The stately Westport House, home to the Marquess of Sligo, lies just outside the town. Croagh Patrick, towering over Clew Bay, is Ireland's holiest place of pilgrimage.
Well, I was open 15-20 minutes, but I'm going to be proven one way or the other.
Legend has it that in 441 AD, St. Patrick spent the 40 days of Lent here in fasting and prayer for the people of Ireland. Each year, thousands of pilgrims, some barefoot, emulate that journey to the summit, where Mass is celebrated in the little oratory. Looking across Clew Bay on a clear day, you can see 365 islands, while further on, the jagged peaks of Achill Island loom mysteriously. The rugged terrain and breathtaking scenery make Achill an ideal retreat for those wishing to get away from it all. The westerly outpost of Belmullet juts into the mighty Atlantic Ocean, and where better than here to watch one of Mayo's glorious sunsets? It is indeed an artist's paradise. The vast basilica at Knock, Ireland's largest church, is another great pilgrimage site, having witnessed an apparition of the Blessed Virgin in 1879. In 1979, Knock was the focal point of Pope John Paul's Irish visit. The magnificent fjord-like Killary Harbour, running inland between steep mountains, marks the border between counties Mayo and Galway. Synonymous with County Galway are the rocky Aran Islands and their unmistakable symbol, the curragh, a tar-covered boat unchanged for centuries. The three islands of Inishmore, Inishmaan and Inisheer lie in the Atlantic Ocean, 30 miles off Galway city. Life on these Irish-speaking outposts remains traditional, and many old crafts survive. Ayr Square in the heart of Galway city is home to the O'Conora Monument, commemorating the famous Irish-language short story writer. The great cannons were presented to the Connacht Rangers just after the Crimean War. Bustling Shop Street is aptly named and runs down to the many traditional hostelries on Quay Street. Across from the old fishing village of Claddagh, the modern port is the West's busiest. Just west of the city is the popular resort area of Salt Hill, thronged with bathers during the summer months. Deep in the heart of Connemara, the sheltered harbour at Roundstone provides an ideal retreat, and along the harbour road you will find some excellent fish restaurants. The region's capital, Clifton, with its cosmopolitan population, has a unique character of its own. Further along the coast, the tiny fishing village of Cleggan, gateway to the island of Inishbofin, lives life at a relaxed pace. Travellers on the Clifton to Westport Road will be greeted by the fairy tale site of Kylemore Abbey, now a Benedictine school for girls. As the locals make hay while the sun shines, we can enjoy the fabulous vistas that this part of Galway has to offer. Near Gort, in the south of the county, is Coole Park, once home to Lady Gregory, one of the Abbey Theatre's founders. Within its grounds, you will find the curious autograph tree, bearing the initials of many famous visitors, among them George Bernard Shaw and Douglas Hyde, Ireland's first president. Leaving the rocky fields of Galway behind, the splendid castle at Birr in County Offaly awaits us. Prominent in many battles of the 15th and 16th centuries, its grounds contain the oldest suspension bridge in Ireland and the world-famous observatory and telescope. In fact, for over 80 years, Birr's telescope was the largest in the world. The ancient monastic settlement of Clonmacnoise on the banks of the River Shannon, founded by St. Ciaran in 548 AD. Throughout the centuries, Clonmacnoise was plundered many times by native chiefs, Danes and Anglo-Normans alike. The site contains 2 round towers, including this magnificent example, attached to Temple Finian. While of the many Celtic crosses that dot the cemetery, the finest example must surely be the High Cross of the Scriptures, adorning the grave of the 10th century King Flann Sin. This magnificent cross is exquisitely carved and ornamented on both sides. The boglands of County Offaly provide an important source of fuel, much of which is used for Ferban and Banagher power stations. What better way to watch the turf being harvested than to climb aboard this unique bog railway? A wildlife sanctuary adds interest to this area, and you could even try your hand at cutting a few sods yourself. Tullamore in Offaly is home to the world-famous Irish mist liqueur and has a distinctive malt house, ornate buildings in the town square, and an imposing courthouse. County Laois's capital, Portlaoise, lies at the busy intersection of the Dublin to Cork and Limerick roads. Despite this, the railway station retains its old-world charm. Originally called Maryborough, it traces its origins to the plantation of Laois by Mary Tudor. The town of Mount Rath lies at the foothills of the Slieve Bloom Mountains, and a hike up any of these hills will be rewarded with panoramic views of the surrounding area. Beautifully sited, high on a hill, the Rock of Dunamace, the scene of many conflicts, is a 12th century fortress given by the King of Leinster Dermot MacMurrough to his daughter Aoife at her marriage to Norman invader Strongbow. This pretty tree-lined town of Stradbally is well known throughout Ireland. The eminent historian John Conor O'Hanlon was born here, and the town boasts the unique Stradbally Steam Museum. The visitor who arrives on the August bank holiday would be forgiven for thinking that he or she had been transported back in time. Steam engines from around the world gather for the annual steam rally, and throughout the entire weekend, the sound of their huffing and puffing fills the air, a delight to behold. Some of the participants travel from as far away as New Zealand, such as the attraction of the rally for the steam enthusiast. Vickerstown on the Grand Canal is a popular mooring point for the boating community and a coarse angling centre of note. Situated at the edge of the Curragh Plain, the town of Kildare has many attractions to offer the casual visitor, and no visit would be complete without a tour of the beautiful St. Bridget's Cathedral. The area around the Curragh is home to Ireland's horse breeding and training industry, and many famous participants in the Sport of Kings have begun their careers here in the shadow of the Curragh racecourse. The land around the Curragh has a high limestone content, which apparently gives the racehorses their renowned strength. The 15th century White's Castle at Athy was built on the north bank of the Barrow to secure the crossing of the river. This unusually shaped courthouse is a feature of Athy. Nearby is the 7-storey Levittstown Mill. The town of Castledermot contains some interesting features, including this well-preserved round tower and the remains of the old Franciscan friary. At Monasterevin, this unique bridge spans the Grand Canal, which flows on through the quiet haven of Robertstown, where canal cruisers can be hired. Druid Nua, or Newbridge, stands astride the River Liffey in the heart of Kildare. A former garrison town, its many thriving industries support a population of over 6,000. Close by to the east, the peaceful canal waters are a perfect antidote to the busy streets of Naas, situated on the main Dublin to Cork road. In early times, Naas was the seat of the kings of Leinster, and St. Patrick is reputed to have visited here in the 5th century. Today, this brightly painted town hall graces the main street. Carlow is the second smallest county in Ireland, and the mighty River Barrow flows through the county town of the same name. Carlow was once the stronghold of the Anglo-Normans, and by the Barrow's banks we find the town's immense 13th century Norman castle. The quaint town hall houses the county museum. Among Carlow's many points of interest are the Greek-style courthouse, St. Patrick's College, Pollerton Castle, and the superb Browns Hill House. Within the grounds of Browns Hill Domain is this excellent example of a dolmen. The capstone, weighing close to 100 tons, is the largest of its kind in Ireland. While in County Carlow, why not take a short boat trip along the River Barrow and experience the delightful scenery that this part of Ireland has to offer? One of the oldest bridges in Ireland is to be found here in Loughlin Bridge. Lisnavagh, home of Lord and Lady Rathdonnell, is a splendid Victorian home. A member of the exclusive Hidden Ireland group, this is a perfect place for the visitor to enjoy country pursuits. And in the quiet environs of Borris, the stately Borris House, home to the Kavanagh family, is one of Ireland's finest country mansions. Leaving the village of Borris with its impressive arched bridge behind, a short journey downstream will take us past the roaring weir at Clashganny. Through the sleepy village of Graignamanagh, arriving at the banks of St. Mullins, a favoured destination for the camping enthusiast. As the River Barrow flows gently towards the sea, we will take our leave of this delightful part of Ireland. Avondale House near Rathdrum is in County Wicklow, known as the Garden of Ireland. The home of Charles Stewart Parnell, the 19th century patriot and parliamentarian, Avondale was built in 1779. Overlooking a broad crescent-shaped bay on the Irish Sea, Wicklow town was a major maritime base for the Vikings, who named it Vikinglo. Situated in a valley in the heart of the Wicklow Mountains is one of Ireland's most famous beauty spots, Glendalough, or Glen of the Two Lakes. The stunningly beautiful surroundings are home to an important monastic settlement founded by St. Kevin in the 6th century. At the edge of the lower lake, many of the ruins survive, including the superb round tower, perfectly preserved after more than 1,000 years. St. Lawrence O'Toole is also associated with this lovely place. He was made Abbot of Glendalough in 1153 at the age of 25. Another of Wicklow's jewels is the meeting of the waters at Avoca. It was by these lovely shores that the poet Thomas Moore gained his inspiration, and he is commemorated here today. The steep slopes of Glenmalure are the location of Michael Dwyer's cottage, where the famous rebel hid from British forces. The pretty Avoca River winds its way through the vale, past Avoca's rich copper mines, and onwards to meet the sea at the important port of Arklow, in the extreme south of the county. Much of the timber from the surrounding forests is shipped from here, and Gypsy Moth III, in which Sir Francis Chichester sailed around the world, was built in an Arklow shipyard. One of the many unspoiled spots in County Wexford, the busy family resort of Courttown has many attractions for young and old alike, including a quiet harbour area. Affectionately known as the sunny southeast, Wexford is blessed with miles upon miles of sandy beaches, making it a firm favourite with holidaymakers. The charming cathedral town of Enniscorthy straddles the River Slaney in the centre of the county. The town's centrepiece, Enniscorthy Castle, has stood guard over the town for nearly 800 years, since its erection in 1205 by the notorious Raymond le Gros. It is now the County Museum. Enniscorthy's narrow streets witness much of the turbulence of the infamous rebellion of 1798, and in Market Square you will find the classical bronze memorial featuring Father John Murphy and a rebel pikeman. Father Murphy commanded a group of insurgents in many battles until his defeat at Vinegar Hill, where he was captured and executed. This is his final resting place. In the historic town of Wexford, we encounter the impressive County Council chambers, once a 19th century jail. This was an important trading and fishing port for many centuries. Down at the quayside, a statue of Commodore John Barry, founder of the United States Navy, looks out to sea. The waters of Kilmore Quay, a major fishing port, are a sea angler's paradise, with many species on offer. And at Waterford Harbour, the seaside resort of Duncannon, with its inshore fishing fleet, boasts these immense fortifications, built in defence of the Spanish Armada. Close to the village of Campile lie the extensive ruins of Dumbrody Abbey, founded in 1210 by the Cistercians of St Mary's Abbey in Dublin. The main church is cruciform, with an aisled nave and 6 transept chapels. Leaving the shores of County Wexford behind, we take the little ferry to Passage East in the southern county of Waterford. Founded by the Vikings on the banks of the River Suir in 853, Waterford City later became second only to Dublin among Anglo-Norman strongholds. Today, Waterford is a thriving port city of over 40,000 people and home to the world-famous Waterford Crystal. Reginald's Tower takes its name from Reginald, son of Sitrick, the Norseman who built the tower in 1003. With massive 10 feet thick walls, today it is a wonderful museum. A short drive away, the magnificent beach at Tramore, literally meaning Great Strand, attracts thousands of visitors annually who greatly appreciate the many attractions on offer. Continuing along the coast and the seaside town of Dungarvan, its 300-year-old library comes into view. Originally settled in the 3rd century, the town takes its name from the 7th century Saint Garvain, who founded a monastery here. Dungarvan was an important port and military centre during the Anglo-Norman invasion and was conquered by Oliver Cromwell in 1649. Just south of here lies the little village of Ring, where Irish is still the everyday spoken language. Further east, the rocky promontory of Helvick Head rises above the little fishing harbour, giving panoramic views of the Knockfalla Mountains. The fawn grey towers rise high from the banks of the Blackwater. Lismore Castle was built in the 17th century and extended in the 19th century on the site of an older castle. This was once the property of Sir Walter Raleigh. Lismore Town Hall houses a heritage centre providing a comprehensive history of the surrounding areas. The medieval city of Kilkenny was the capital of the Kingdom of Ossory in pre-Norman times. The Confederation of Kilkenny took place in the middle of the 17th century. Here they minted the coin, printed the books, and Ireland was also governed from Kilkenny. Interesting buildings include Roath House, a Tudor merchant home. It is now a museum. St. Canice's Cathedral, named after the 6th century saint who founded Kilkenny. And the wonderfully restored Norman castle built by William Marshall, home to the Butler family for over 500 years. On the banks of the River Nore stands Mount Juliet, built by the Earl of Carrick in the 18th century. The monastic ruins of Jerpoint Abbey, founded in 1158 by King Donogh mac Gilpatrick, are arguably the best of their kind in Ireland. In 1540, the abbey was suppressed. Deep in the Nore Valley lies the village of Inishdeeg, with its charming tree-lined square. These extensive fortifications at Kells date back to 1193 and are therefore one of the first Norman defences in Ireland. Built on the remains of an ancient fortress, it is steeped in history. At Freshford in the Slieve Dara Hills, we find a church with a Romanesque doorway with richly ornamented arches reflecting the talent of an unknown artist of far-off days. On the Kilkenny-Tipperary border at Ahenny, set in a rustic old graveyard, this beautifully sculptured high cross has stood for over 1,000 years, and also this unusual cross with a long shaft of 11 feet high. Rising majestically above the town, the Rock of Cashel is one of the great symbols of Irish history. Seat of the Munster kings from the 4th century, King Murtagh O'Brien granted the rock to the church in 1101. St. Patrick visited here in 450 to baptize King Angus and his brothers, and it was here that the coronation of Brian Boru as King of Munster took place in Cormac's Chapel. The town of Cashel itself has some interesting buildings, including the old deanery, now a hotel, and Quirk's Castle in the town centre. The town of Thurles on the River Suir pays tribute to Archbishop Croke, founder of the GAA. And it was in this hotel that the GAA's first meeting took place. Created by the Butlers, Thurles is situated on the River Suir. Overlooked by the Knockmail Down Mountains, the charming town of Cahir, with its brightly painted buildings. It's a delight to visit. Straddling the River Suir, the town is home to Cahir Castle, the largest of its period in Ireland, and now fully restored to its former glory. Built in 1142, the castle became another of Cromwell's conquests in 1650. Entering the town of Clonmel, meaning Honey Meadow, we pass under the turrets of the Old West Gate. Rebuilt in 1831, it forms part of the Old Town walls. With a population of 15,000, Clonmel is one of the largest inland towns in Ireland and administrative capital of Tipperary South Riding. Ireland's first stagecoach company was founded here in 1815, and Hearns Hotel was the headquarters of the famous Bianconi cars. The Protestant church at Roscrea is built on the site of St. Cronan's Abbey, and other relics of this period, including St. Cronan's Cross and the soaring round tower, remain today in the centre of this thriving and picturesque market town. The visitor to the coastal county of Clare will be greeted by the awesome spectacle of the cliffs of Moher, jutting into the roaring waters of the Atlantic. Rising nearly 700 feet vertically from the sea, the cliffs extend about 8 kilometres along the coast. County Clare is the heartland of traditional Irish folk music, and in towns such as Milltown Malbay, the melodic sounds of jigs and reels will greet you wherever you travel throughout the county. The traditional Irish bowron is much in evidence here, and a prized souvenir for the many visitors to the area. Kilkee is a popular family seaside resort, and if you're lucky, you might encounter its very own Molly Malone selling her cockles and mussels. Outside the impressive courthouse in Ennis, you will find this statue of Eamon de Valera, Clare's favourite son. De Valera was Ireland's first Prime Minister and represented County Clare in the Dáil from 1917 to 1959. In 1959, he was elected President of Ireland, and the local museum and library are dedicated to his memory. His old car is still lovingly preserved, as is this impressive monument to Daniel O'Connell. The strange, lunar-like landscape of the Burren stretches over much of West Clare and is home to many rare species of flora. Here we find the Polnabrone dolmen and the haunting Alwee Cave, whose full length can now be explored. The cave contains the only bear remains to be found in Ireland. As the sun sets over the megalithic Polnabrone dolmen, we move on to the historic city of Limerick with its famous Treaty Stone and the medieval splendour of King John's Castle on the banks of the mighty River Shannon is matched by St. Mary's Cathedral on Bridge Street, a superb 12th century construction. Hurling and rugby are Limerick's two sports, and in the shadow of the magnificent clock tower, the day's matches are enthusiastically discussed. This monumental commemoration is to Patrick Sarsfield, defender of Limerick. We travel south to the grand old 19th century manor at Adare, now a luxury hotel. Much of the domain is now occupied by the 18-hole golf course, set in the tranquil wooded surroundings. Nearby are the ruins of an Augustinian abbey. The rustic charm of Adare is exhibited in the outstanding thatched houses lining the main street. And the town itself is literally a little heaven. The harbour at Foynes holds a special place in Irish aviation history. It was from here that the first transatlantic services began using the fondly remembered flying boats, now immortalised in the Foynes Flying Boat Museum, and indeed in the local pub. The town of Newcastle West takes its name from the 12th century castle in the nearby town square. An ideal place just to watch life go by, or just stand still. Our journey continues through the little town of Abbeyfeale with its imposing statue of the Reverend William Casey, to the fabulous vistas of Barna Gap, from where 5 counties can be seen. The famous Shandon bells ring out over Cork, Ireland's 3rd largest city, built on the banks of the River Lee. Crossing Patrick's Bridge, the steep Patrick's Hill rises above the river's north banks. Patrick Street, in the heart of the prosperous city centre, is Cork's major shopping thoroughfare and reverberates to the sound of constant traffic. On the south channel of the River Lee, the fine old City Hall graces the quayside. While in the western suburbs, the city's university is a world-renowned seat of learning and has educated some of Ireland's most acclaimed scholars. The spires of St Finbarr's Cathedral, named after the patron saint of Cork, tower over this most charming of cities. Dating from 1865, the cathedral is highly ornamented. As we make our way out to the countryside, we witness the traditional County Cork sport of road bowling, practiced with much vigour amidst a clamour of sing-song accents. In fact, Cork and Armagh are the only 2 counties in Ireland where the sport survives. Just 8 kilometres northwest of Cork City lies the little village of Blarney, dominated by the magnificent Blarney Castle, built in 1446 by Cormac Loither MacCarthy. Set in the wall below the battlements is the world-famous Blarney Stone. It is said that kissing the stone will impart the gift of eloquence, hence the expression, the gift of the Blarney. This is the beautiful coastal town of Kinsale, scene of the famous Battle of 1601. Situated at the mouth of the River Bandon, Kinsale is known, and with very good reason, as the culinary capital of Ireland. Stretching back from the harbour, its narrow streets are home to restaurants of every description, and dining here is an experience definitely not to be missed. The attractive town of Clonakilty is an ideal base from which to explore the West Cork region. Beautiful flowers abound at every corner, rivaling the buildings for intensity of colour. The tiny port of Crookhaven enjoys an unrivalled location in the southwest of the county, and unsurprisingly, the harbour area is the focus of much activity. Overlooking Bantry Bay, the town of Bantry is another of County Cork's unspoilt treasures, and a browse through the local market could unearth some interesting curiosities. Behind the town, you will discover the stately Bantry House, housing art treasures from around the world. A short boat trip from Glengariff brings us to the tiny Garnish Island, where, to our surprise, we find a formal Italian garden set among the peaceful wooded walks. Washed by the Gulf Stream, the island's balmy climate allows even semi-tropical plants and shrubs to flourish. Beautifully situated among stunning mountains and lakes, what better way to explore the famed Killarney region than by one of the traditional jaunting cars? Queen Victoria was one of the first of many tourists here, and the publicity that her visit brought was a great boost to the region. A delightfully laid-out town, Killarney caters for all the tourist needs, from traditional craft shops to a wide variety of restaurants and pubs, all the while echoing to the sounds of horses' hooves. The colourful town of Kenmare at the head of Kenmare Bay is famous for its homespun woolen industry, a sample of which is a highly valued souvenir for visitors to the town. Kenmare is an ideal base from which to explore the Ring of Kerry, the famous coastal route around the Iveragh Peninsula. Visiting the famous Park Nasilla Hotel, and the delightful little village of Sneem, which was home to the late Carol O'Darley, former President of Ireland. Close by is the secluded retreat of West Cove with its fine sandy beach. Derrynane House, close to Caherdaniel, was home to that revered figure of Irish history, Daniel O'Connell, the famed liberator. The house, now perfectly restored, contains a museum with O'Connell's personal possessions and furniture. Out to sea, in Ballinskelligs Bay, the sheer cliffs of the Skelligs Rocks rise vertically out of the seething waters below. Once home to a religious community, the only residents now are the many thousands of breeding seabirds, among them gannets, puffins and Manx shearwaters. Our coastal journey continues through the more serene surroundings of Waterville, halfway round the Ring of Kerry, and an angling centre of note. Passing the dark beauty of Valentia Island. Arriving at Cahersiveen, with its quaint old barracks, picturesque streets, and this pretty church. Driving past Glenveigh, the scenic coastal route takes us to Tralee, where each September the famous Rose of Tralee festival takes place, featuring contestants of Irish descent from around the world. During festival week, the town comes alive, with the many visitors enjoying the revelry in the streets. No less an attraction is the lovely port of Dingle, its sheltered waters home to a busy little fishing fleet. While further along this scenic peninsula lies the curious Gallerus Oratory, a perfectly preserved early Christian church in the shape of an upturned boat. And as we leave you with these beautiful images of our Emerald Isle shores, we hope you've enjoyed this journey with us.